A reminder of just how big a market, how important a market China is at a time, Anurag, where many have been waiting to see the recovery on the COVID front and the demand story emerge out of China. What have you made of these developments?
So remember, China is about 20% of revenue for Apple, so it's a big market for them. Second thing you have to remember is because of COVID restrictions, you can't really either manufacture the phones in a timely manner or you can't even sell them. So you just want to make sure you clear the inventory out before the next model kicks in, which is going to be in the September-October timeframe. So it's important to get rid of them so that you can, start fresh.
Anurag, put that in some context, though, because we did, of course, hear from a lot of these retailers, Walmart, Target, to name a few, that they do have these massive inventories they're trying to get rid of, essentially. But does the same kind of inventory buildup really apply to Apple, and how big of a deal is it in this context?
So as you have rightly mentioned, it is unusual. They normally don't do that. And it just tells you the backlog. And I don't think it has a brand issue or it's an issue with the quality of what Apple sells. It's more or less a problem with the supply chain as well as the restrictions, travel restrictions or opening up shops restrictions in China, which may be driving this.
So, Anurag, at the end of the day, as we watch what happens in China and we watch what happens in the quarter for Apple, is there a lot that all of corporate America can take away from whatever Apple says, or are they in many ways in their own boat? I mean, this is a company that over time has proven its ability to keep prices relatively high. As we mentioned, this is a rare thing for them to make a change on prices. And even on these big issues that we've talked about, like supply chain, Apple's pretty good at navigating that as well.
No, absolutely right. So that's a very different, equation for Apple than any other company. I completely get that. But there are two things you have to remember as we go into the earnings season, not just for Apple, for everybody, and it's the strong dollar. I think we have seen that the estimates aren't down as much as we would have liked it to be just on the dollar strength. That's a reported number. That's not actual, I would say the real economics of a business. But I think the strong dollar is going to have an impact on reported numbers, not just for the next quarter, but guidance going into the quarter after that. So that's one thing. The second thing I would say is the supply chain is because of restrictions in China, we may be having some issues about getting the parts done, which then defers the sale of certain products, whether it's the iPhone or the Macs, into the quarter after that or the next quarter after that. So those are two things that I think people are not really focused on as closely as I would like them to be.
Anurag, what about the services revenue here? Because, I want to say in peak COVID times, one of the major indicators of that broader consumer demand and foot traffic was how many people are going into Apple stores and going to the Genius Bar, for example. What about that source of revenue?
Yeah, so the services revenue is driven largely by the app stores, the payments, the iCloud, and the other things you mentioned. But so, in the last quarter, they did guide that they're going to grow double digits, this quarter. So I think that's going to be okay. But going forward, we do see some deceleration in that rate as well, largely because they are running into very tough comparisons at this point. And again, because of the nature of some of these products, we don't expect them to be able to grow double digits forever. Now, there are two things that I would also mention over there. They are trying very hard to get, TV rights. They're also going to generate revenue from advertising. So I think these two revenue streams should help them get back to that, in my view, the low double digits or high single digit growth rates in services in the long run. But I think in the near term, we may see some pressure.